So all the popular props, we have the HQ 5x4x3, we have the Racecraft variety and the doll variety, as well as the Gem Fan doll, whatever you want to call it, twin blade for 4.5 pitch, as well as the tri-blade doll 4.5 pitch. So the main differences between all these are basically the plastics that they use. The HQ was the first. It's the one that still flies the best. I'll discuss why. The Racecraft and the doll are pretty even. Many people still prefer the Racecraft, probably because they haven't tried the doll, but they're very, very similar. So let's discuss these different plastics. The Racecraft and the doll are made from some nylon polycarbonate, some sort of composite mix, while the doll is made from a stiffer composite mix. And by stiffer, it doesn't actually mean stiffer. They all have relatively the same stiffness. They just have, the HQ has a different flex profile, I guess I can call it, than the other two. So first let's weigh them. The doll is 3.8 grams. The Racecraft is 4 grams, but it previously weighed 3.8 grams. Yeah, 4 grams. And the HQ is 3.6 grams. So it's about 2 to 3/10ths of a gram lighter than the other two. Does that make a difference? I'm not sure. So here's the actual main difference. I'm going to try to show this on camera. I'm going to flex the Racecraft prop, and then I'm going to flex the doll prop. Now I'm going to flex the HQ prop. And it's hard to see, but what you're going to notice is that, I'll compare it to the doll. So you'll see this flex profile and this flex profile. What you're going to notice is that the Racecraft and the doll, the whole blade actually flexes together as one nice curve. And overall, it feels about as stiff, if not stiffer, than the HQ. But the way the HQ feels when you flex it, it seems to flex from this point. So the hub half of the blade is much stiffer than the other two, whereas the end tip is much more flexible. And it's really hard to describe the flight characteristics, but Ricky did it best when he said the HQ just feels very creamy in the air. It feels very soft and smooth when you fly it. The other two, they feel great, and these are really, really minor differences. You're only really going to be able to tell if you've been flying for quite a while, and if you're really, comparing tiny, tiny, tiny details. The HQ still flies the best overall. Doll and the Racecraft are about the same. I personally prefer the doll much, much better than the Racecraft, because when you fly through trees and dent things, well, I mean, the one reason you're not going to fly the HQ is because they break. They break if you look at them too hard. They break if you touch a blade of grass. They do not last. So the biggest issue is replacing the actual blade, which takes time and energy on your part. So you're only really going to fly these if you're getting them for free, or if you want the perfect video that they give you. Regarding the doll and the HQ and the Racecraft, I prefer the doll over the Racecraft because when you fly through trees, the Racecraft, it dents the edge of the blade. It actually dents and folds up, and it starts making really loud, high-pitched, whiny noises. And it still flies fine, but I don't like that quality of it. Whereas the doll prop, it seems to just kind of chip away at the edge. It's just kind of a preference. When it chips away, it makes a similar kind of high-pitched whine, but it seems smoother to me. If you look at the edge and you feel the edge, it just feels smoother when it's getting chipped away. So I generally fly the doll props for a longer period of time than I fly the Racecraft props. So the quad prop is also a very popular option that people fly because you just get fantastic control out of the quad prop. The blade area seems to just give you better control. This one weighs 4.6 grams, 4.7 grams, so it's about a gram heavier than the HQ. I'm not so concerned about that gram. It does give you much, much better control, but it's definitely slower. You can definitely feel it when you fly, but you do get that punch. So all these blades, these are all 4-pitch blades. The 4.5 pitch blades are another option, and recently Zach has found that the pitch actually doesn't make much of a difference, and I generally feel the same way when I fly them. What does make more of a difference, it seems, is the width of the blade. If you look at these blades, the 4.5 pitch blade has a much, much wider scoop on it. So that scoop seems to do more than the pitch itself. I do know that HQ is coming out with like a really wide, scoopy 4-pitch blade, which actually might be very, very nice. But we're gonna have to wait and see how that is. These are two other props. These are the HQ Durables and the Dahl Ultra Thins, they call them. And let's weigh them. The Dahl is 4.2 grams and the HQ is 4.4 grams. They are both horrible props. Do not buy these props. They are probably some of the worst props I've flown. The Dahl is so flexible and flimsy that it sounds like you're running a 3-pitch, that whiny noise before it explodes in the air. The HQ prop I actually have not flown at all, but Ricky's flown it. What is it?
Garbage water.
Well, what does it feel like when you fly it?
Feels like your quad's on a trampoline.
Well, yeah, because the blade flexes so much and it's so soft. I mean, this blade, it stays. You flex it and it stays.
The quad goes nowhere.
It does nothing. So these two props are the worst design concepts. I mean, they're good efforts, I would say. You know, they're both 4.6 pitch, which, again, we've learned that means nothing. This one does have a really wide scoop on it, so it should be good, but there's so much flex to this blade that it's pretty much useless. So then motor KV numbers and, you know, prop and KV combination. Popular way to go is by running the 4.5 pitch on a 2600 kV motor. That seems to be what Sean Taylor and Luke Bannister like the most, and it does most likely give you the maximum speed because the twin blades do have much less drag, so they should be spinning much faster in the air. If you want to look at really good numbers, Quad McFly, Ryan, you should check out Mini Quad Test Bench. He has fantastic database of motors and props and everything to do with them you can think of. But the issue is that those are all static thrust tests. They're on the bench, and when you're in the sky flying, it's very, very, very different. It's good to look at the bench tests because they do give you a good estimation, and as you fly more and more, you get more of a feel of what the motors and what the props can do. But for the most part, when you're running a 2600 kV motor, you can hear it picking up speed as you punch it full throttle. It's going to go, and then you're going to hear the motors continuously rev faster and faster over the next second or two while you're still at max throttle. That happens with all the props. It seems to happen more on the twin blades. I hate twin blades because they are unbalanced. No matter what you do, I mean, I've never gotten a twin blade that's perfectly balanced. So your video is always a little bit wobbly, and I can't use them. I can't even see where I'm going with them. Regarding balance for all the other props, they are all fine. They are all about the same, and I would not be concerned about balance at all. The one blade that is going to give you some balance issues is going to be the 4.5 pitch blade, and that is because it's much more susceptible to imbalances because the blade is so heavy that if there's a little bit of an imbalance, you're going to get more wobble. So I'll discuss the kind of the ideal combinations, at least that I've found later. But the twin blades are much more susceptible to imbalances in general because there's only two blades. When you have a tri-blade, you have two blades on one side balancing the one blade on the other side. So generally, they're kinder to having imbalances in the different blades. So that's why I don't like twin blades. Ricky has set up all the props in order of fastest to slowest. So these are the fastest, those are the next fastest, then you go down the line, and that one is definitely faster than these two, which are completely useless. So no matter what motor you put these on, hopefully not higher than 2600 kV, that's the order. So make your choosing as you wish. These are going to be the most durable if in a race setting where if you crash you can't deal with a broken prop, or if you hit a gate and you want to keep going. These are going to be the most durable in the Dahl variety. If you get the Gemfan ones, they crack. So they're going to be the Dahl twin blade 4.5 pitch is going to be the most durable prop for race setting. The next one is going to be the tri-prop, and then really the Dahl and the Racecraft are all going to be the same. The quad blade is a little bit less durable because there's 4 blades, but maybe it's actually not as bad because they don't break. So if you just bend one, you still have 3 blades. You can still go. These 3 are all pretty much the same. The HQ is like a distant last. This is not a durable prop at all.
Look at it, it breaks.
It's basically made of glass. So regarding 2300 versus 2600, or all the various combinations of KVs on the motors, for the most part, they're about the same. If you are truly a very skilled pilot, you can definitely get the 2600 to go faster, but you are definitely giving up the torque and control of the the motor when you go to 2600, because it does have less. No matter what you do, it's going to have less torque. 2206, 2600 is probably the highest kV on the smallest size motor you want to go, because it's going to give you the torque to actually fly it right and give you the right control feel. I've got two quads that are set up pretty much equivalent. One has 2300 kV, one has 2600, 2633 kV. They're both 2205 motors. They're both stuck in Israel right now, but if I ever get them back, I would show you that the 2633 kV motor, I have my yaw rate almost, not almost, all the way up, and it does not even begin to compare to the yaw rate that I'm getting on my 2300 kV. What? Ricky has a question? No comments? So that's what I found. I have more experience flying the 2633 kV just because I prefer these 5x4 blades, which I have on that one, and I kind of have to run the 4.5 pitch on the 2300, because if you run 5x4 on the 2300, it is definitely slower. So I would recommend you run the 5x4 blade on a 2600 kV motor and the 5x45 blade on the 2300 kV motors. Now there's a lot of preference in all of this. My preference going forward is going to be a 2400 to 2450, maybe 2500 kV motor with the heavy blade. And I say that because I like the torque that I get with the heavy blades when I'm coming out of a dive. With the 5x4 blades, they give you good punch and good torque, but you can't beat the 5x4 blade. It just has, even the quad blade cannot match the 5x4 blade. When you punch it on this prop, it definitely stops and goes wherever you are pointing it. The quad blade is good about that, and it gives you fantastic control, but I just like this tri-blade better. And in general, I'm very lazy, so I'm tired of having to buy separate different props for all my quads. So I'm pretty much settled on the 2400 kV's speed with this blade. It's probably going to give me the speed that I want, and it'll run 5S like I'm planning to move to, and it's going to be a nice medium on everything. And I'll just learn to fly however I want to fly with that setup, because I'm too lazy to switch everything all the time. That's about all I have to say. There's one guy, he's called the Watchmaker. He runs 6 blades because it gives him absolute ultimate control. What size motors are in 2207s?
3000 kV, isn't it?
2207, I think 3000.
3100.
No, that's way too high.
He has some stupid set of motors.
Well, I don't know what he runs, but you can message him on Facebook. His name is Samsu, and he loves the hex blades, even though he has to replace half of them every time he flies, because just landing you break one. He likes the torque and control they give him, and they do give you crazy torque and control, but you're going about half as fast as you would go with a tri-blade.
And they sound amazing, though.
They do sound very impressive. They're just extremely high-pitched. Anything else?